Are you a business owner that could use just one more customer? Those empty tables, vacant appointments, idle employees, and expired merchandise are missed opportunities. What if there were a community that connects you to high-value and motivated customers, giving you a competitive edge in the marketplace and increasing your revenue? Introducing Partners One. You keep doing what you do best, taking care of your customers, and we'll do what we do best, sending you new customers to take care of. Call us today to find out how Partners One can work for your business.
Welcome to the Rocket Right Show, starring Hurricane Betsy Barnes and Dr. K. Solar. Two busy blondes with their fingers on the pulse of all things Louisiana. Events, health, leisure, entertainment, and more. It's the Rocket Right Show. And now, here's Betsy and Kay.
And we're so glad you could join us. We are just rocking it right into November. We're heading into the fall.
Can't believe it.
A little bit cooler outside, you know, a little bit more fun and festive as we're getting ready for the holiday season. And so we're going to share with you some of the things that are going on ahead of Veterans Day. We're going to talk about some different things that we've done over the last few months and some of the things we've experienced with our sons and others. And so we want to just welcome Chad Chenevert. We're going to talk to Chad in just a minute about the Songs of Survivors therapeutic music songwriting workshops, and he was a participant with David St. Romain, and he was inspired by his grandfather, and with other veterans wrote a song about his grandfather's hat. We're going to hear about PawPaw's hat and about that song in just a few minutes. And then we're also going to meet, if you haven't met, Jody Plauche. This is the Gary Plauche story, and he wrote a book about his experiences and his dad called Why Gary Why. And so Jody Plauche has a lot to share. He's very brave and courageous in some of the personal stories that he tells, and it's to help people who have been through some traumatic experiences as children. And so we're going to hear more from Jody, and then we're going to talk a little bit about where you can go, what you can do for Veterans Day. But first, we're going to talk to Chad Chenevert. And thank you so much for coming with Songs of Survivors. And you were actually a participant as a veteran in the workshops that David St. Romain and others had put on as part of a music therapy program. So thank you for being with us.
You got it. Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah. So you had a really great story about what inspired you to join the military, and we always are grateful to every veteran and every person that has served to protect our nation, and you did through the Army National Guard through
That's
Louisiana.
Right. Yep.
And you're a friend of David St. Romain. He's a friend of ours as well.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about what inspired you to join the military, and then how you got involved with this workshop.
Yeah, so I trace back my desire to join the military back to my grandfather, like you mentioned. My grandfather was a retired lieutenant colonel, and without getting too emotional, but because, he means the world to me, and I look up to him, always did. And whenever my parents we'd pull up at the driveway to go visit my grandparents, the first thing I would do is bolt out of the car and go find that hat right there.
This hat.
Yep, that was the one.
Yes.
So as a little kid, I would go find a hat, and I'd just go marching around, and in my mind, I was there, right? So that hat meant a lot to me, and just learning from him and seeing how he carried himself and hearing his stories and looking at pictures, and it just inspired me to. I wanted to be like that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, how he carried himself. There's old school. My dad was old school like that.
Yeah.
And we get very emotional about veterans.
Sure.
So, there's so many that we love and so many that we admire. And it's a different mindset about a level of nobility and character despite all adversity.
Right.
And so even as a young fella, you understood, how important that was and what it meant to your family.
Yeah. It was, he loved America and the country, and I wanted to be like that. So it was a no-brainer for me. I joined when I was 17 years old. I remember my dad came in from work, and there's a recruiter sitting in the living room, and I would have joined without my dad, but since I was 17, I needed him to sign the paper. So it was kind of a surprise to him, and maybe not a surprise to him, because he knew that this was something I was passionate about.
And was your grandfather there for that signing, or did you call him after and tell him?
Yeah, he knew right then after, but he wasn't there for that. No,
Yeah.
I couldn't coordinate all that.
I'm sure the smile on his face just covered his whole face. He was probably so very proud of you.
Yeah. I think so. And when I graduated basic training, and I think I shared with you a picture of me at graduation.
Yes, and we're going to share that on Facebook.
Okay, all right.
And so then you served for how many years?
So I had an 8-year contract, I believe. I joined in '93, and I got out around August of 2001.
Right before September 11th.
Yeah, it was. It was kind of an awkward and tough time for me personally, because I've did my contract and did my time, and but like every American, when that happened, your heart is to, I got to go take care of. That's, America's been attacked, and so my heart was with my unit, and I was out. And so Michelle and I, my wife, we had some tough conversations, about do I get back in or what do I do? And so anyway.
So then the Songs of Survivors workshops were started with David St. Romain and others, and he actually formed a 5013C. So if you want to get information, it's sosmusic.org, and we're going to also share that. But Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, the Office of Cultural Development, now the Louisiana Office of Tourism, the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs under Colonel Joey Strickland, all got together and wanted to help fund these workshops. And it was part of a healing arts program that ended up in 2019 actually being a model program through the National Endowment of the Arts and some others. And so when you went to this workshop in Alexandria, what did you expect, and then what occurred?
Yeah, so David and I actually served together in we were in the Covington 205th Alpha Company, or the 205th Battalion. So David and I have known each other for years, and once I got out, I guess our time overlapped. So I kind of, I just lost touch with David, but he reached out and said, "Hey, man, this is something I'd like for you to come do and check out." And I think he knew I was helping out with the Wounded War Heroes, and not necessarily hands-on, but funding a lot of it, trying to help donate. And I went to some of their events and stuff, and it was just fantastic. And I look at veterans as brothers and sisters.
Yes.
So. It's an awesome thing. Anything I could do to help. So the workshop, I didn't know really what to expect. He kind of told me that we were going to get together and write a song, or and have some other collaboration of other veterans. So that was kind of what I was told was going to happen, but it was so much more than that, really.
So when you got there and everybody started sharing, nobody knew each other. I mean, you knew David, but really there was nobody else that knew each other. And then you got together and found you had so much more in common as strangers.
Yeah, so we're all brothers and sisters by oath, right? We all took the same oath. So, that thread keeps us, we're a family. And so it wasn't anything for us to shake hands and become just real tight with each other right away. Some of us were, I think there was an Air Force, a Navy, Vietnam veteran, some other veterans, just all different types of walks, all different times, eras, all different experiences.
Yeah.
But, it wasn't just sit there and write a song. I mean, they literally taught us how a song is written, from what a bridge is, what a chorus is, and an intro, and I mean, it was just really broken down, and so it was very easy for us to understand what we were doing, and then we just they kind of had some good conversations where we were kind of able to download some of our experiences, and and really David knows I'm not a combat veteran. Thankfully, I'm not, and I just, my heart goes out to those that have, but I was able to really see the value of the Song of Survivors, and how and I hate to say outside the box, but that type of thinking of music and letting a veteran or somebody that's going through trauma, to try to therapeutically help them and tell their story in a different format was just really awesome.
And so they, as a group, y'all chose the theme about your PawPaw's hat.
Yeah, we of course, we're all kind of throwing out ideas and stuff, and I don't know, it just was very clear to me that something kept tugging at me, says, man, tell the story about how you joined. And so I threw out there, well, I got a neat experience with my grandfather's hat, and everybody was kind of like stacked hands on it and said, let's do it. And so, but in that song, it wasn't all about me. So even though it is me in the as a little kid, running around, but the Vietnam veterans and those guys had very important input. Some of the Desert Storm veterans had some input in there, and so the song will actually cover multiple stories in there, even though it was around that hat.
So we want you to hear a little excerpt of that song if we can pull it up. Even though we don't have graphics for it, we want you to hear part of that song. And so we're going to see if we can bring it up. We want to make sure that you see this wonderful hat too.
Pictures on the wall told the stories. That old hat saw it all. I was only 10 when he marched me through the battlefields of his backyard. I knew then I had it in me. I wanted a hat of my own. I got the call to give my all, not knowing if I'd make it home. Once before me, never got the glory, but I had a mission of my own.
And we're going to share that song, and we're going to post it on Rock It Right Entertainment Facebook, and we're going to share that also, the link. And so we thank you so much for sharing the story of your PawPaw and carrying on that legacy, that family legacy. Thank you for your service. You're choking me up. Thank you for your service, and thank you for following in the footsteps of a man who was truly noble and brave.
I appreciate that.
We are grateful for you, and we're going to be right back. We're going to be talking with Jody Plauche. We hope that you'll hang with us on Rock It Right with bubbly Betsy Barnes and Dr. K. Solar. And hug a veteran, thank a veteran, and go love their neck. Tell them you appreciate what they did. We'll be right back.
Awesome. Thank you.
There's a joy of life you'll find only in Louisiana. A spirit of celebration that takes your senses places they've never been before. Where expressions of joy are an art form and our way of life. Where an abundance of good food, good times, and great music means there's more than enough to go around. Come one, come y'all. Come feed your soul in Louisiana. I'm John Goodman, inviting you to visit LouisianaTravel.com and plan your getaway today.
Red Stick Music, Baton Rouge's live music calendar since 2014, with a full calendar available on the website 24/7, clickable links to artists and venues. View the entire weekend lineup at a glance and plan your outings with your friends. View professional recordings of local live musicians, watch interviews with people in our music community, and find additional resources. Red Stick Music, Baton Rouge's live music calendar.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser of the great state of Louisiana. Hurricane Ida has brought great devastation to our community. In time of need, Louisianans always step up and help their neighbor. This time is no different. We'll help our neighbors and friends get back as we always do. If you need help or know of someone that needs help, or would like to volunteer or make a donation, go to volunteerlouisiana.gov. We are Louisiana Strong. Thank you.
Since the early 1800s, the Selassie family has played a significant role in the retail industry in Louisiana. Stuart Selassie has achieved the Certified Diamond Graduate designation from the prestigious Gemological Institute of America. What that means to you, whether it's appraisals, design, build, repair, or diamond sales, you have an expert you can count on. At Selassie's, you make all the right choices. Selassie Jewelry and Fine Gifts in the heart of the Denham Springs Antique District. Find them on Facebook.
Visit one of our 21 state parks all over Louisiana.
Let's go to the state park. There are 21 of them, you know. And state parks have biking and hiking, tubing, and we can even ride horses. Or we can go exploring and even swim by a beach. They have cabins, really nice ones, with long fishing piers.
Don't forget to tell them about the discounts.
Oh yeah, book 3 nights and we get the 4th night free.
Great job.
Thanks.
Louisiana State Parks, we're ready for your adventure.
Are you a business owner that could use just one more customer? Those empty tables, vacant appointments, idle employees, and expired merchandise are missed opportunities. What if there were a community that connects you to high-value and motivated customers, giving you a competitive edge in the marketplace and increasing your revenue? Introducing Partners One. You keep doing what you do best, taking care of your customers, and we'll do what we do best, sending you new customers to take care of. Call us today to find out how Partners One can work for your business.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Mcmorris of Elite Chiropractic in Livingston Parish, conveniently located off the I-12 corridor in Walker and Albany. If you suffer from sciatica, migraines, or other pain conditions, give us a call to see if we have a technique that best fits you. We have multiple techniques including chiropractic adjustments, massage therapy, dry needling, rehab, and much more. Again, I'm Dr. Ron McMorris with Elite Chiropractic in Livingston Parish, Walker, and Albany.
And welcome back to Rock It Right. I am bubbly Betsy Barnes here with Dr. K. Solar. We are just cruising into November, and we are so glad that you could join us. We're always glad when you show up and hang out with us. Mm-hmm. And so we're very excited to welcome our guest, Jody Plauche. Jody is the author of a book called Why, Gary, Why? And if you grew up in Baton Rouge, 35 years ago or so, then you might remember the story of Gary Plauche and some matters that he took into his own hands after you went through a very unfortunate situation as a 10-year-old. And so one of the things that is very difficult for people to talk about is childhood sexual abuse and trauma. And so we are very grateful that Jody steps forward to share that. And it's very important that parents and children and everyone understand there are certain things that people do to groom and to change behavior and to appear to be safe, and they are not. And so I think the current statistics are 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys have had some sort of issue where an adult or an older teen has taken advantage of them, and in some cases it could even be people of the same age. But sexual abuse and trauma are no laughing matter. It is a difficult subject to talk about, and that's why we're really glad that Jody has come forward, because he has been on a national speaking circuit, and we just really felt like this was a topic that was important to share. And so we thank you for being so brave and so open and so candid, because there's so many people that do not want to even acknowledge that they have experienced something like what you went through, and they are afraid to get help because they don't want to talk about it. So thank you very much for coming and also for writing this book and sharing it.
Well, thank you for having me.
So
I'm not the first Plauche to be up here.
No, you are not.
No, you are not.
No, your brother Bubba Plauche has, well, I've known him forever through soccer with our boys, and he's a great musician, and we just appreciate the Plauche family.
Well, I just called him up, and I told him, I think this might be my Wednesday night hangout from now on, and come watch the show being filmed, because I've run into all kind of people I know, so it's really nice to be here.
That's great.
Well, we're glad you are. So would you like to share with us a little bit about why you decided to write the book And we know COVID kind of shut down your ability to nationally speak about this topic, which is so important, so difficult, but yet so important. And especially now that it's called human trafficking, which was not a term we ever heard as kids.
I think I mentioned that in the book, because when I was out in California with my karate teacher who had kidnapped me, the guy who had been sexually molesting me for like the year before he took me, at one point he said, you know, if we need money, would you be willing to have other men pay to be with you? And I was like, no. So I mean, I think he may have been the innovator of human trafficking, but I think I do mention that in the book. But what really got me wanting to speak out about it is in 1991, me and my dad got a call from a producer from the Geraldo Rivera talk show. They wanted to fly us up to New York, put us on TV, and I was like, free trip to New York, let's go. So in April of 1991, me and my dad went, and we filmed the show. It didn't air until June. It was like June 4th, 91. And
how old were you at that time?
I filmed it right before my 19th birthday, so I'd have been 19 when it aired. Well, I get a call literally a week after the show airs from Mike Barnett, who was the major who worked on my case. At the time, he was a major. Mike Barnett worked on my case. He's the one that kind of coached my mother. The book is actually dedicated to him and my mother. And he called me up and he said, look, I want you to hear this because it's going to be in the papers. It's going to be on the TV. We just arrested this pastor who had been molesting these two boys, and one of the boys saw you on a Geraldo show, and that's what made him come forward. And so, I mean, they literally had that in the paper, and I was like, wow. I was like, I just went to New York for a free trip and to be on TV and meet Geraldo. I actually got to meet Little Richard that day, too. Little Richard, Buddy Holly's wife, Donna and Peggy Sue. I met all those because they filmed 2 shows as well. So Little Richard came backstage, and I was like, hey, nice to meet you. And he's like, hi, nice to meet you. I'm like, wait, Little Richard, he's always like, oh, I'm Little Richard. So we do the show, and that's when I decided I could take something bad, something tragic, and turn it into something positive. Use the footage of my dad shooting and let others know that it's a process, it's not easy, but it's not a death sentence either. Just because you're sexually abused doesn't mean that you can't move on. Like I said, it's a process. I didn't magically just come out on the other side and like, hey, I'm good, let's go play football again. Right. But I eventually got back into sports, went back to high school, and our lives just kind of got back to normal. And we got lucky because Daddy didn't go to jail. I mean, that's an important step. I know Ellie Nessler killed her son's abuser back in '93, and he's in jail for life because he murdered somebody. So. So
there might be some people watching that don't really know what happened because they either weren't alive then or they weren't from here then. But do you want to give a brief of what happened? Because I was watching it on television as this occurred.
Okay, so
and so many people were, but we're a little bit older maybe than some. And this is something I think that you are so able to reach people in their heart and soul that if they need to come forward, this would be the time.
Well, in 5th grade, we got enrolled in the karate classes. Unbeknownst, the karate teacher was a pedophile, and he used that setting to groom the kids. Eventually, we started taking karate. We were on the karate fighting team. Like, think of the Karate Kid. We fought in tournaments, and he made some bad business deals eventually over the year, and he was leaving town because he owed people money, and he was facing like prosecution, even though he wouldn't have got much time. And since I was his love interest for the last year, he took me. Well, eventually, they caught him in Anaheim, California. We were literally a block away from Disneyland, and they brought me back March 1st. It was a couple of weeks before they flew out to California to bring him back, and for those who don't know, when they were walking him through the Baton Rouge airport, you can go on YouTube. It was on Reddit today. I mean, there was like 33,000 views on Reddit today. And my dad turned around from the payphone. He was actually talking to his best friend. People go, oh, he was pretending to be on the phone. But he told his best friend, here he comes. You're going to hear, I'm taking a gun out of my boot. You're going to hear the shot. And he turned around and I guess they call it no scope 180'd him or something, but he shot him in the head, killed him. And the community. In the Baton
Rouge airport, because he had heard that he was coming back through from I believe, reporter and somebody else.
The program director at Channel 2, Bob Shadell. My dad worked at Channel 2. He bowled with him. He drank with him. He hung out with him. He was friends with him. And so he said, he'll be back in about 9:08, I think his flight was coming in. So my dad, with that information, he actually, it was his weekend to have us because my parents were separated, and my grandparents took us out to False River. And he actually made it to False River. But when he got to False River, he had to turn around. And a lot of people go, oh, that's the most premeditated thing I've ever seen. And I can assure you, if my dad would have put any planning in it, he would have messed it up. He just went to the airport, and when he saw his face, he felt he had to do what he had to do.
Yeah.
And he also thought he was going to die that night. He thought they were going to shoot him. So he went there on a kamikaze mission.
Well, and he also went there to protect his family. He went there to make sure you were okay, and that was the most important thing to him. And so when he went to trial, no jury in Baton Rouge, Louisiana was going to convict him. He was on probation for 7 years, but nobody was going to convict him. And I personally know quite a few people who thanked him for what he did, because they, in the same position, would have hoped they had the courage to do the same.
Well, his original lawyer, Foxy Sanders, he felt the same way. He felt there was no jury that was going to convict my father for what he did, especially after they put the facts on trial.
Right.
And facts of what happened to me on trial. And I think the DA knew that too. But Daddy had to fire Foxy because Foxy wouldn't accept the deal that they were offering him for no jail time. Basically what he got, 5 years probation, 300 hours community service. Foxy wouldn't take that because he's like, why take it? And I think he signed a book deal, and it was pending on it going to trial. So my dad got a phone call, said, we got to have a meeting, we got to have a talk. And I think it was a psychiatrist, my dad's psychiatrist, Dr. Uzi. He said, do you trust me? And my dad said, yes. He said, will you do something and not question the motive of why I'm telling you this? He said, yes. He said, then you got to fire Foxy. And it wasn't later until we found out why, but that's why. So then he hired Anthony Marabella, and, they worked out a deal, and my dad got lucky.
Yeah, and Judge Marabella ended up being a judge.
And then he ended up being a judge.
Yes.
So
in criminal court.
Right.
Yeah. So, it takes a lot of courage to come forward with all of these facts, and thank you for sharing for those people that didn't know. But the reason you chose to speak out was because so few men do. So few people do, especially men. And there's that stigma, especially if the perpetrator is a male on male, of, the sexuality and all that, so all that factors in. Luckily with me, my mother had told me at a young age that there were people out there who were bad, that would take advantage of children. And when he started touching me inappropriately, I started thinking to myself, oh, he's like one of the people mommy told me about. And so I never internalized that guilt and that shame that a lot of victims do, because there, unfortunately, is a pleasure aspect to it. And I address that as well in my book, not to go into too much detail, but I mean, a body is a body, and a body's responding. And a lot of people, when they grow up and they realize what had happened, they start feeling that guilt that their body was responding that way, but you're not in control of that. And you look at all of the children that have been victimized by churches, by those that are involved in education institutions and other things. It's those individuals that are responsible for their behavior, not necessarily all the institutions, if they're not aware.
Right.
So we want you to stay over for another segment, because this is really important, and we want to talk about some of the things that you're doing to help promote children being safe and parents being aware. And so we're going to be right back with Jody Plauche, author of the book Why Gary Why, here on Rocket Right. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
My biggest concern was my family, and being able to see me come home every day and know everything is going to be okay. I felt comfortable that I was being treated by some of the best. There were some scary points along the way, but it's just kind of like been a little blip in the road.
Money, wellness, fun. Rocket Right Radio takes you all across Louisiana and the nation with guests who live life to the fullest.
I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
I'm Dr. Kay Solar.
You're gonna love it.
Join us every week when we cover
everything under the sun.
Live and learn with the Wright sisters.
Politics,
health,
music and entertainment,
local agnet.
Rocket Right Radio. You're gonna love it.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser of the great state of Louisiana. Hurricane Ida has brought great devastation to our community. In time of need, Louisianans always step up and help their neighbor. This time is no different. We'll help our neighbors and friends get back as we always do. If you need help or know of someone that needs help or would like to volunteer or make a donation, go to volunteerlouisiana.gov. We are Louisiana Strong. Thank you.
Red Stick Music, Baton Rouge's live music calendar since 2014, with a full calendar available on the website 24/7, clickable links to artists and venues, View the entire weekend lineup at a glance and plan your outings with your friends. View professional recordings of local live musicians. Watch interviews with people in our music community and find additional resources. Red Stick Music, Baton Rouge's live music calendar.
Whitetail Properties is not your average real estate company. Land specialist and MSU alum Jeff Taylor in Mississippi and LSU fan realtor Quaid Taylor have teamed up. Their sole purpose is uniting buyers and sellers of recreational land. If you're interested in hunting, ranch, investment, and timber properties, Whitetail Properties experts have the right real estate for you. Call Jeff Taylor, 601-248-9433, or Quaid Taylor, 225-719-0495, or visit whitetailproperties.com.
At Hightower Dental Concepts, we take a compassionate approach to family dentistry. Our goal is to make your dental experience comfortable and informative so you can make the best dental care decisions for you and your family. We're welcoming new patients to our dental family at Essen & Perkins, and we look forward to meeting you soon at Hightower Dental Concepts. Call us today at 769-0031 or request your appointment at info@dentalconceptsbr.com.
There's a joy of life you'll find only in Louisiana. A spirit of celebration that takes your senses places they've never been before. Where expressions of joy are an art form and our way of life. Where an abundance of good food, good times, and great music means there's more than enough to go around. Come one, come y'all. Come feed your soul in Louisiana. I'm John Goodman, inviting you to visit LouisianaTravel.com and plan your getaway today.
Right Show. I'm Dr. Kay Solar in the house with bubbly Betsy Barnes, and we are continuing our discussion with Jody Plauche, who wrote the book Why Gary Why, and we have lots more to hear from you.
Well, you know why the book is titled Why Gary Why, and you know why the book is titled Why Gary Why. And actually, I missed this guy yesterday. I went to have lunch at Hooters, and he was there. And I didn't see him, but a friend of mine was like, "Oh yeah, that was Mike Burnett." So Mike Burnett and my dad knew each other. They weren't like really good friends, but they were friends.
And he was with the sheriff's department.
He was with the sheriff's department. He went to California to get the karate teacher because my mother called Mike when I was kidnapped. So Mike was on the case the whole time.
And how long were you gone?
I was going. He took me February 19th. I got back March 1st. So you're looking at right around 10 days because it was a leap year. And so Mike, when my dad shot him, he heard the gunshot. He turned around and he goes, in the deposition, it's really funny. They go, when did you find out that Gary had shot Jeff Doucette? He goes, well, when I turned around and saw Gary holding a gun. And that's when he yelled, he said a cuss word. And then he said, Gary, why? Why, Gary? And then he ran over and he grabbed him. Well, my dad knew Mike, but my dad didn't know Bud Connor. He was the other guy who was walking next to my karate teacher when my dad shot him. If you watch the video, Bud drops to his knee, immediately reaches for his gun, and he was going to shoot Daddy. And Mike saved Daddy by running in front of him and shielding Bud from shooting him. Bud wasn't done yet, and Bud told me this personally. And if you watch the video, Bud walks over and puts the gun to my dad's head, and he goes, I would have shot him if that camera wasn't there. And he turns around, he looks back at my dad, calls him an SOB, walks over, looks at Jeff, and just shakes his head. Because he knew his fate was gone. I mean, he was gone. But that's where the title came from. But I thought the title was so great because everyone remembers hearing Why Gary Why. I was driving Uber while I was working on the book.
It was on WBRZ Live, the whole thing. And we're just, when you're watching it, you're thinking they're just bringing this guy in. But I think now that's maybe another reason there's a delay between what happens and what's...
Probably.
Yeah.
I could see that being a big factor. But... Anyway, so I missed Mike yesterday, but everyone remembers Why Gary Why. So I was driving for Uber, and I picked this guy up, and he was one of the guys that wanted to talk. So he's like, so what else do you do? I'm like, well, I'm working on a project right now. Hopefully it'll be done by the end of the year. I'm trying to be vague. I don't want to go, but I picked him up at the airport. And so we're driving home. He's like, well, my family, we just moved here like a couple months ago from Ohio, I think it was. And he goes, we really enjoy it here. The people are so nice. The food's really good. And he starts questioning me more, and I'm like, Finally, I said, okay, you know what? I said, I'm writing a book. You know the airport I just picked you up at? I said, my dad shot my karate teacher who had kidnapped me in that airport. And the guy looked at me and he goes, your dad is Why Gary Why? And I was like, that's the name of the book. That's the name of the book.
That is crazy.
And if you read the back of it, it says, Deputy Mike Barnett asked Gary Plauche why Gary, why. Seconds after the television cameras recorded Gary shooting and killing karate instructor Jeff Doucette, who had raped, molested, and kidnapped Gary's son, Jody. Now, 35 years later, Jody Plauche answers the deputy's questions on behalf of his father.
It is a very interesting read. You wrote it in a way that 8th graders up could read it. It is not a difficult read. You can get through it pretty quickly, but there's some very poignant awarenesses in there that people need to really understand. If that gut feeling is something's not right or this doesn't feel right to me, even if you're a child, listen to that gut feeling.
I think every parent should read it. And you say 7th, 8th, I might go even as low as 6 because I was in 6 when that happened. And if I can live through it and be okay, someone can read about it and be okay. So, I mean, I would, and there's a lot of good information for parents, also survivors, and also people who have no clue. Like someone who's like, well, why wouldn't anyone tell? Read it, you'll find out.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So when you go and speak on a national basis, you've gone, before COVID, you were speaking quite a bit nationally. And then COVID kind of shut that down.
Oh, COVID. The momentum I had gained, it ruined it. But I had 5 speeches canceled in 2020. And when you hear just the places, Gulf Shores, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Whistler, British Columbia, Vancouver. And I mean, I would have just done the Vancouver trip for free just to go on a trip, you know. So I had all of the wonderful places canceled. And for each speech you give, you book another one. So it just kind of, it's like a network. And so, yeah, so it's kind of hurt me. But recently, someone read my book, and she's in charge of like the National Foster Parents Association. She's in Indiana. So we put together like a Eventbrite Zoom meeting chat kind of thing where I did basically my keynote, and then we had a question and answer, and it was from 5 to 8, and it was like only $10, and it counted for their continuing education. So I haven't talked to her, she was in Disney World, but we're going to get together and talk about maybe doing more. And if I can do, you know, state coalitions, I mean, there's ways now that I learned about from her to possibly get it back going before we're out back in groups live together. Because that's what I really love, is being together. And people say they have a fear of public speaking. I'm like, I don't have that. I like actually, I like going out and I like talking. The subject's kind of rough, but you know, other than that, I like.
It's an important one.
I like being around a bunch of people. And in the foreword of the book, my best friend writes talking about a speech I gave in Wyoming, Cheyenne, Wyoming. And the funny thing about that is I was the final keynote speaker. So we get there night 1, and we're just sitting at the bar. I'm having a drink. He didn't drink, so I'm having a drink. And this woman's there, and she's like from Denver, and she's like, oh my God, this is day 1 of this conference. Every speaker was fantastic. This has been so great. So day 2, sitting at the bar, end of the day. This conference is wonderful. Everyone is so great. And I'm like, I gotta be the last one.
A lot of pressure.
I'm the last one. And then I messed up because me and my friend went out. Now he don't drink, so I had a designated driver. We went to like a real bar. We left the hotel, we went to the bar. Well, in Cheyenne at this particular bar, they had 16-ounce Budweiser bottles. I had a designated driver, so I was good. I'm drinking. That next morning before I had to speak, I was like, this ain't gonna be well. I had to have a pitcher of water because my mouth was dry, my head was hurting, but I eventually knocked it out of the park. So even someone from the conference sent me a private message on Facebook Messenger like, thank you for doing what you do. I'm a counselor, and you were the best presenter at the conference. So I was like, yeah. I'm still competitive. So I still want to be the best. I want to be the best.
I think that, you know, that's an important point that you brought up, is that if somebody wanted to host a Zoom meeting, and if you wanted to have people that were social workers, you wanted to have people that were teachers, professors, students, anyone that would want to have the opportunity to talk to Jody and have him give you a keynote, it doesn't have to be in person right now. It can still be over Zoom, and people can reach you, and we'll give your contact information. But has anybody ever done anything, any of the kids that you've talked to ever said anything that stood out to you?
All right, so in 2002, the Catholic Church scandal broke, and I'm hearing about this in the news every day, so I just felt hopeless and I wanted to do something. So I called my friend Art Harris, who worked at CNN. I said, excuse me. I said, Art, do you want to do a follow-up? I'm like willing to do it. I'm working at Victim Services Center. I'm doing education programs, sexual abuse prevention programs for kids. He said, you know what? Let me see what I can do. He calls me back. Hey, you get permission and we'll be there. So I'm like, all right. So I get the program set. Now we got the correspondent, the principal, the guidance counselor, the teacher, the sound guy, the camera guy. We're all in this second grade classroom. So I'm going over good touches. These are touches that are like hugs and kisses. They make you feel good. Bad touches are punches and kicks that make you feel bad. And then we get to inappropriate sexual touch, and that's called secret touching. Boy, and this little kid raises his hand. I'm like, oh my God. Normally I wouldn't have called on him. I'd have just continued with my speech, but I felt pressure because all these people are in there. And so I called on the kid. I said, what? And he goes, sometimes you can secret touch yourself.
Oh my Lord.
I was like, oh Lord. I was like, kid, I'm 30 and single. Then another one, when I first moved back in 2005 from Pennsylvania, my niece was probably 6-7 years old. And my dad, he loved her, he adored her, his first grandkid, that was her Gigi. Daddy was Gigi. So we're sitting there, and my sister's like, I want to talk to her, but I don't know what to say. I said, bring her in here. I'll do the whole program. So I go good touches, bad touches, secret touches. I get to the point, who's a grown-up that you know and trust that you could tell if anyone ever secret touches you? And she looks at me, and she goes, Gigi. I looked up at my sister. I looked back at my niece. I said, no, we keep those kind of secrets from Gigi. He overreacts. And I said, who else? And then she goes, Mikey. And that's my crazy little brother. And I'm like, no, don't tell Mikey. He'll be worse than Gigi because Gigi got it over with quick. Mikey would make it last a couple of days. So I was like, you know what, Mason, if ever secret touches, you just keep it to yourself. Don't say nothing.
Oh, no.
No, not really. No.
I think that's important for people to understand the difference between secret touches, good touches. So get the book, Why, Gary, Why. Support what Jody's trying to do to keep people aware of what needs to be done for children that need to be aware of what's not good.
It's available on Amazon.
Oh, yeah. Where can people find it?
Amazon.com. You can go there, type in Why, Gary, Why. I got my first bad review the other day. You can read that as well. I owned it, though. I put it on Facebook. I was like, because she said I was bragging. Oh, he's bragging about overcoming. I'm like, you're right, I am.
It's not bragging if you can do it. If you can overcome that, that's not bragging. That's called, being a victor in a situation.
My keynote is victory to victim, or victim to victory.
Yes. Thank you so much for being so open and so candid. And we hope that this helps someone, and we hope that you'll support those who need to step forward and get the help that they need. And we're going to be right back with Rocket Right. We're going to be talking about a few good things going on in the community and some of the ways that you can thank veterans and commemorate and honor those that have served. And we'll be right back on Rocket Right.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Mcmorris of Elite Chiropractic in Livingston Parish, conveniently located off the I-12 corridor in Walker and Albany. If you suffer from sciatica, migraines, or other pain conditions, give us a call to see if we have a technique that best fits you. We have multiple techniques, including chiropractic adjustments, massage therapy, dry needling, rehab, and much more. Again, I'm Dr. Ron Mcmorris with Elite Chiropractic in Livingston Parish, Walker, and Albany.
At Hightower Dental Concepts, we take a compassionate approach to family dentistry. Our goal is to make your dental experience comfortable and informative so you can make the best dental care decisions for you and your family. We're welcoming new patients to our dental family at Essen & Perkins, and we look forward to meeting you soon at Hightower Dental Concepts. Call us today at 769-0031 or request your appointment at info@dentalconceptsbr.com.
Some call it joie de vivre, the joy of life. In Louisiana, it's our way of life. From music that shakes up your senses to food that wakes up your palate. That joy vibrates in every note we play and spices up every meal we serve. So come live life to the fullest. Come one, come y'all, come feed your soul in Louisiana. I'm Sean Ardway, inviting you to plan your trip at LouisianaTravel.com.
Since the early 1800s, the Selassie family has played a significant role in the retail industry in Louisiana. Stuart Selassie has achieved the Certified Diamond Graduate designation from the prestigious Gemological Institute of America. What that means to you, whether it's appraisals, design, build, repair, or diamond sales, you have an expert you can count on. At Selassie's, you make all the right choices. Selassie Jewelry and Fine Gifts, in the heart of the Denham Springs Antique District. Find them on Facebook.
Whitetail Properties is not your average real estate company. Land specialist and MSU alum Jeff Taylor in Mississippi and LSU fan realtor Quaid Taylor have teamed up. Their sole purpose is uniting buyers and sellers of recreational land. If you are interested in hunting, ranch, investment, and timber properties, Whitetail Properties experts have the right real estate for you. Call Jeff Taylor, 601-248-9433, or Quaid Taylor, 225-719-0495, or visit whitetailproperties.com.
Visit one of our 21 state parks all over Louisiana.
Let's go to the state park. There are 21 of them, you know. And state parks have biking and hiking, tubing, and we can even ride horses. Or we can go exploring and even swim by a beach. They have cabins, really nice ones, with long fishing piers.
Don't forget to tell them about the discounts.
Oh yeah, book 3 nights and we get the 4th night free.
Great job.
Thanks.
Louisiana State Parks, we're ready for your adventure.
I had a meeting with Dr. Barfield and it kind of just hit me. It probably is cancer. After the surgery, I wasn't scared anymore. I was looking forward to getting started with chemo. Not one time did I get a nurse in a bad mood. I was here for 5 hours at a time, and I did not dread coming. To get people from around the country to come to Baton Rouge, that says a lot right there. That this place is cutting edge.
With the Rocket Right Show, I'm Dr. Kay Solar in the house with bubbly Betsy Barnes.
Very bubbly.
You're very bubbly.
I'm very bubbly.
Are you drinking bubbles too?
I'm not, but perhaps I should.
I don't know. I see that you have a cocktail that looks like it's a fall holiday colors. Maybe there's some cranberries in there. I read that the fall holiday drinks need to be made with apples, cranberries, figs, or pears. I don't know. I'm like thinking I really need to go.
Mix it all together. It sounds
I'm thinking
good.
I need to go to Sugarfield Distillery and snag some of their fig liqueur, which I've missed out on yet so far.
We love Sugarfield Distillery.
They've got so many different flavors.
We're going to be doing some shows featuring different ways you can holiday entertain.
Because it is that time of the year, entertaining and holiday drinks and food.
That's
I
right.
love it. Hey, I read a
foodies.
recipe today that you can get your pumpkin latte, and it's a spiced pumpkin latte pudding in the Firefly sweet tea vodka.
Wow.
Who would know if you had that in your car and you drove through Starbucks and you get you that pumpkin latte? You could just add way more calories to it. I'm just saying.
If you drove up and got the pumpkin latte and pulled out a bottle of sweet tea vodka, they would think there's a problem because you're probably in the morning going through there. That might be an issue.
I guess that would be
an
true.
issue.
I don't know. I drink my coffee in the evenings. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I can't drink coffee in the evening because I'm too bubbly then, and I can't go to sleep.
You are.
I can't go to sleep. So we wanted to mention a few things that are going on for Veterans Day, and you can actually just Google Louisiana Veterans Day events 2021, but there's quite a few. Remember last year it was kind of canceled. There was a lot. So there's quite a few around the state, and we just think that it's really important that you take the time to call the veterans that you know. It could be your neighbor, it could be a relative, and thank them for their service because we are grateful for everything that they've done to protect our nation and to keep us free. And so you've got time to do a little planning, and it never hurts to write a thank you note or bring a cookie or do something sweet for somebody.
Or bring
that's a veteran.
The Heavenly Donut King
That's
Cake when
exactly
it's
right.
not even the season yet. I'm
That's
just
right.
saying.
That's right. So there is a Veterans Day drive-by at the Cajun Dome.
That doesn't sound good, a drive-by.
It's a drive-by. Well, it's a good drive-by because it's just a drive-by ceremony from 4 to 6, November 11th. And that is Veterans Day.
It is.
So that would be a great time to thank veterans as you're going by. There's also a few others that are all around now. There's on the 7th, there is one for in Church Point. There is another one in New Orleans. It's a Veterans 10K and 5K this weekend on the 6th. There's a hats off to Veterans Luncheon on the 11th at Louisiana Yambilee. There is a Veterans Day tree lighting on the 11th at Chenault Aviation and Military Museum. The Victory Bells are going to be performing at BB's Stage Door Canteen, and that is on Magazine Street in New Orleans. If you haven't seen the Victory Bells, they sing the 1940s music.
Absolutely.
They are so good.
It's like it.
They are really good. And so that would be something fun, especially if you have an older veteran who loves the music from the swing era. That would be a wonderful thing. Also, this weekend in Youngsville, there's a Veterans Day gumbo and chili cook-off, and
it is weather. I mean, being cool a little bit now.
Yeah.
Gumbo and chili.
That's right.
That sounds like a good one.
So there's also a Veterans Day afternoon visit at Hale Hall in Ruston. And this is a chance for you to just go onto campus and meet some of the other veterans. There's a Veterans Day barbecue at Paul's Rib Snack Barbecue in Lake Charles. So there's a lot of places around the state to honor our veterans. Of course, Veterans Day at the World War II Museum is a huge thing. That's at the Freedom Pavilion on Magazine. And let me just tell you, if you've not been to the World War II Museum, if you have not gone, you need to go. This would be a great time to go. It's a beautiful space, and it is the #1 tourist attraction in New Orleans.
Is it?
There are thousands and thousands of people that come from all over the world to go there. And it is really outstanding. And also, this upcoming weekend is also New Orleans Fashion Week.
Okay.
And I'll show you some pictures of New Orleans Fashion Week after it occurs. My son is a designer.
I want to see what he is designing and modeling.
Yeah, he's a designer and a model,
cool.
and they're also doing, and this is the first time since 2019 they've done it, but they're doing something at the World War II Museum. One of their events is at the World War II Museum. So if you look up New Orleans Fashion Week, you can see all the different things that are going on, and so just hug a veteran, thank them, call them up.
Yes.
So CJ, your son CJ Solar, opened. I was so wow, for Susan
Dolly
G.
Parton.
Coleman,
Hey, but
for Dolly Parton in Nashville this past week.
We've both been traveling a lot.
Yes, we have.
So my most recent trip was to Nashville, and it was for a benefit for breast cancer, benefiting Susan G. Komen. Kiss Breast Cancer Goodbye was the event. It was putting on at the CMA Hall of Fame Museum and Theater. It was beautiful. It was fantastic, and you can't always say that you opened for Dolly, but there was a lot of amazing people that played the event, and it was so cool for CJ to be a part of that.
I think you have a
and
picture.
Play a song. I think
you have
we
some
have
pictures
I
we
think
can
we
pull
do
up.
have a picture from that we can pull up. There was, of course, lots of press there.
And we've got a seat empty right here for Dolly. Dolly's welcome to come on the show anytime. There's CJ, on the CMA
rocking
stage.
His black hat and everything. And then that was in Country Beat, one of the magazines that published it. And then I have to tell you, I'm so excited. I think we have a picture of the guitar I painted. That's a picture of the folks that put it on. Edge Hill Publishing, CJ's new publishing company, was one of the ones that put this event together, and of course Dolly Parton in there, and everyone knows which one she is. And she had on the best hot pink sparkly outfit that night.
I bet
it was
she
such
did.
an intimate concert because she sang the songs and did almost a history through her life with the famous hits, just with an acoustic guitar player. But I'm really proud of that event too, because I painted a piece of art and it was signed by everyone who performed there. And I think y'all have a picture of my crocodile pink guitar. And we don't have that one. That one's
We're
not
going to put
showing
that on
up.
Facebook, and we'll bring it next week.
We'll have to show that because I was so excited. And honestly, I've been told sometimes that my art looks like a third grader's, but everybody was so thought
Amazing.
it was very cool.
And what are you going to do
and
with
hey,
it?
Well, it is going to be hanging in Edge Hill Music Publishing right now as commemorative of the first year's Kiss Breast Cancer Goodbye event. And who knows, it might be one of their auction items next year because it's got Dolly Parton's signature on it. Every single person
I might have had to have that hanging in my den.
Dennis Quaid, one of my favorite actors, he sang and played at the event. Very cool. Colin Ray, Linda Davis, so many people. And Artemis Pyle, the original drummer from Leonard Skinner.
Wow.
Yeah,
So what a cool event. That is so big. And while you were doing that, my son was putting together a music video.
I know.
And it was a 1920s Halloween party.
I saw some pictures. It's crazy.
Yeah, and so we have a few pictures from that. I was so proud of him pulling that together. Of course, on a smaller scale, he's much earlier in his career of what he wanted to do.
Cool outfits.
But there was a great number of people that showed up. We did it at Beauvoir Park, which had the speakeasy feel. Beauvoir Park buildings, and there's a little video also for you to see that space. I hope we can pull that up. But this was just like a little video that I put together walking through the space before.
Betsy, you look like you was upside down.
Yeah, I turned it slowly. The music was great. The DJ that he hired was phenomenal.
You wanted everybody to feel like
we're
they'd
gonna have
already been
him
drinking.
on. Yeah, and so and it's like, are you down? Are you down? Down? The music was so good, and so this is before everybody got into position. And there's my son Peyton North
with a cool jacket on. 100%. That's amazing.
And that is Beauvoir Park, and you can have events there. We did, I think, the first music video that's ever been filmed there. It's owned by Leslie Batten. It's under the overpass behind Building 5 and K Street. And that was such a cool place. They do outdoor concerts.
And the lighting makes everything look
It does. And I just wanted you to see that space, and we appreciate what Leslie did to make this happen for a music video.
And we can't wait to see that music video.
I know, it'll be coming out.
Yeah.
So our boys had a good week, and that means
and
we
so
had a
we
good week.
did. Yes.
And so just remember, if you're going to rock it, make sure you rock it right. With the cool moms, Bubbly Betsy and Dr. K. Solar.
Yeah, boy.
Are you a business owner that could use just one more customer? Those empty tables, vacant appointments, idle employees, and expired merchandise are missed opportunities. What if there were a community that connects you to high-value and motivated customers, giving you a competitive edge in the marketplace and increasing your revenue? Introducing Partners One. You keep doing what you do best, taking care of your customers, and we'll do what we do best, sending you new customers to take care of. Call us today to find out how Partners One can work for your business.
Rock It Right with Betsy Barnes and Dr. K. Solar is brought to you by these generous sponsors. Partners One, better barter for Baton Rouge and beyond.
Mary Bird Perkins, Our Lady of the Lake Cancer Center, Selassie Jewelry and Fine Gifts, Advantage Health Solutions with Dr. Boyd Michael Helm, Hightower Dental Concepts with Dr. Leah Larson, City Group Hospitality including City Pork Brasserie and Bar, City Pork Catering, City Slice, City Taco, Rouge Creole, and Beau Soleil.
Talent 360 Consulting with Vicki Little. Jeff Taylor, Realtor and Forester with Whitetail Properties. The 3rd Street Songwriters Festival. Elite Chiropractic with Dr. Ron Mcmorris. LouisianaIsATrip.com. Take one. Thank you for making our show possible.